The warning lights flashed red across the control panel as Dr. Maya Rodriguez gripped her seat. Her small research ship was spinning out of control, tumbling through the dark void of space like a leaf in a storm. The engine had died without warning, during what should have been a simple supply run to the outer colonies. Come on, she whispered, frantically pressing buttons and flipping switches. Nothing worked. The ship's computer kept repeating the same message in its calm, mechanical voice. Engine failure. Life support at 60%. Emergency landing required. Through the spinning viewport, Maya caught glimpses of something massive floating in the darkness ahead. It looked like an old space station, its metal surface scarred and pitted from years of floating alone in the emptiness. Solar panels hung at odd angles and several sections looked damaged, but it was her only chance. The docking bay doors were stuck halfway open, but there was just enough room for her small ship to slip through. Maya held her breath as metal scraped against metal, sparks flying past her window. With a bone-jarring crash, her ship finally came to rest on the station's landing platform. For a moment, she just sat there, heart pounding. She was alive. The station's emergency power had kicked in, bathing everything in a dim orange glow. But as she looked around the empty docking bay, a chill ran down her spine. This place felt dead, abandoned for who knows how long. Maya grabbed her emergency kit and stepped out of her damaged ship. The artificial gravity was working, but it felt lighter than Earth normal. Her footsteps echoed strangely in the vast, empty space. Debris floated in small clusters where the gravity generators weren't quite reaching. That's when she heard it. A soft sound, like metal touching metal, coming from the shadows near another docking port. Maya's hand instinctively went to the small toolkit on her belt. She wasn't a fighter, just a scientist who studied strange life forms on distant worlds. But out here, alone and stranded, every sound could mean danger. "Hello?" she called out, her voice seeming tiny in the huge space. "Is someone there?" A figure stepped into the light, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. It wasn't human. The being was tall and slender, with skin that seemed to shimmer with a blue-green color like sunlight on water. Her limbs were longer than a human's, clearly adapted for lower gravity. But her eyes, large and dark, held an intelligence that Maya immediately recognized. The alien woman raised her hands slowly, palms outward in what Maya hoped was a universal gesture of peace. She spoke in a melodic language that sounded like singing, but Maya couldn't understand a word. Then the alien pointed to herself and said something that sounded like, "Kira." Maya pointed to herself. "Maya," she said slowly. The alien, Kira, repeated it back with a slight tilt to her head, as if testing the sound. Kira gestured toward another part of the docking bay, and Maya followed carefully. There, partially hidden behind some old cargo containers, was another ship. But this one was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. It looked almost alive, with smooth curves and a surface that seemed to pulse gently with its own light. But like Maya's ship, it was clearly damaged. Scorch marks ran along one side, and several sections looked cracked or torn. Both women stood there for a moment, taking in their situation. Two strangers from different worlds, both stranded on this ghost station with no way home. Maya felt a mix of fear and curiosity. In all her years studying alien life, she had never actually met an intelligent alien species face to face. Kira moved to a wall panel and pressed her hand against it. The station's computer system hummed to life, and a holographic display appeared between them. It showed a basic interface with simple symbols and pictures. Kira touched one symbol, and the display showed a map of the station. Another symbol brought up what looked like environmental readings. Maya stepped closer, studying the display. The station was huge, with multiple levels and sections. Most areas showed red warning indicators, but several zones displayed green, meaning they had breathable air and working life support. The central hub appeared to be in the best condition. Kira pointed to the green zones, then to both of them, then made a gesture that Maya interpreted as staying or living. Maya nodded. They would need to work together if they wanted to survive until rescue came. If rescue came at all. As they made their way through the station's corridors, Maya marveled at the alien architecture. The hallways were wider than human. Ships typically used with curved walls that seemed to flow naturally from floor to ceiling. Some areas showed signs of hasty evacuation, doors left open, personal items scattered on the floor, data tablets abandoned on desks. The central hub was a vast circular chamber with windows looking out into space. Here, the artificial gravity was strongest, and the air felt fresh. Kira led Maya to what appeared to be a living area with strange but comfortable-looking furniture. She gestured for Maya to sit, then disappeared through another doorway. Maya looked around in wonder. On the walls were displays showing images of different worlds, some with blue skies and green forests like Earth, others with purple seas and silver mountains. These weren't just pictures, they were memories of places someone had called home. Kira returned carrying something that looked like fruit, though it glowed softly with its own inner light. She offered it to Maya, who hesitated for a moment. But hunger and the need to build trust won out. She took a small bite. It tasted sweet and familiar, like a mix of apple and pear. As they shared the strange meal, Maya realized something important. Despite coming from different worlds, speaking different languages, and having completely different biology, she and Kira were both scientists. She could see it in the way Kira examined things, the careful way she approached new situations, the curiosity in her large, dark eyes. The station's computer chimed softly, and new information appeared on the wall displays. Weather patterns, star, charts, and what looked like research data scrolled past in symbols neither woman could fully understand. But it was clear this place had once been home to researchers, explorers, and scientists from many different worlds. Maya felt a strange sense of hope rising in her chest. Yes, she was stranded. Yes, she was farther from home than any human had ever been. But she wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, being trapped here with Kira might lead to discoveries that could change everything for both their peoples. Outside the windows, the stars shone cold and distant. But inside the abandoned station, two beings from different worlds had taken the first small steps toward understanding each other. The real journey was just beginning. 3 days had passed since Maya and Kira first met on the abandoned station. Maya woke up in what used to be someone's quarters, stretching on the strange but surprisingly comfortable alien bedding. The artificial sunrise was just beginning, through the large windows painting the room in soft golden light. She found Kira in the central hub, standing before a massive wall display covered in symbols and diagrams. The alien woman turned when Maya entered, and something that might have been a smile crossed her features. Kira pointed to the display, then made a gesture with her hands like she was trying to explain something complex. Maya moved closer and saw that Kira had been working with the station's computer system all night. The display now showed 2 columns of symbols side by side. On the left were flowing, curved characters that must have been Kira's language. On the right were simpler, geometric shapes that the computer was using as a translation bridge. "You've been busy," Maya said, impressed. Kira tilted her head at the unfamiliar words, but her expression showed she understood the tone was positive. Kira touched a symbol that looked like 2 circles overlapping. The computer's voice spoke in both languages. Communication, understanding. Then Kira pointed to herself and Maya, repeating the word in her musical language. Maya felt excitement building in her chest. "You're trying to build a translator." She pointed to the display, then to her mouth, then to Kira. "Talk, speak, language." For the next hour, They worked together with the computer system. Maya would say a word in English, and Kira would repeat it back, then offer her own language's equivalent. The computer recorded everything, slowly building a basic vocabulary between them. Water, Maya said, pointing to a cup. Velthara, Kira replied, her voice making the words sound like flowing. Water itself. Food. Maya held up one of the glowing fruits. Nistal, Kira responded, then added something longer in her own language. The computer's display showed symbols that roughly translated to life-giving sustenance. As they worked, Maya began to understand that Kira wasn't just intelligent, she was brilliant. The alien woman grasped the translation concept immediately and started teaching Maya not just words, but the structure of her language. Maya realized that Kira's people must be natural linguists and communicators. By midday, they could have basics, conversations through the computer interface. Maya learned that Kira was indeed a scientist, specializing in what the translation system called life harmony, something like biology and ecology combined. Kira had been traveling alone when her ship's living systems became damaged in what she described as sky fire, probably a solar storm. Why alone? Maya asked through the computer. Kira's expression grew sad. She input several symbols, and the translation appeared. Homeworld conflict. My research. Not accepted. Forced to leave. Maya felt a chill of recognition. My home difficult. Too, she typed back. Made mistake in research. Partner hurt. I left to think. Something passed between them in that moment, a recognition that they were both running from something, both carrying guilt about their past work. That afternoon, Kira led Maya deeper into the station. They discovered laboratories filled with equipment from multiple alien species. Some devices Maya could recognize as microscopes or computers, while others were completely foreign. In one lab, they found research notes in at least 6 different languages. This place, Maya said, gesturing around them. Many species worked here? Kira nodded enthusiastically. She found a data tablet and activated it, showing Maya holographic images of the station in its prime. Creatures from dozens of different worlds had worked side by side, some humanoid like Maya, others more like Kira, and some completely unlike anything Maya had ever imagined. Research station. The computer translated Kira's explanation. Study life. Study cooperation between worlds. Maya felt goosebumps on her arms. What happened to them? Kira's expression turned troubled. She showed Maya more images, empty corridors, ships leaving in haste, laboratories abandoned with experiments half-finished. The final entries in the research logs spoke of funding cuts, political pressure, and fear between different world governments. They were forced to abandon their work, Maya realized. Just like we were forced to leave our homes. That evening, they shared another meal of the strange glowing fruits and something Kira had found growing in the station's hydroponic gardens. As they ate, they continued building their shared vocabulary, but now their conversations went deeper. Maya learned that Kira's research involved helping damaged planets heal themselves by introducing beneficial life forms, but her government thought it was too risky, too radical. They wanted weapons and defenses, not healing and cooperation. Kira learned that Maya studied extreme life, organisms that could survive in impossible conditions. But her last experiment had gone wrong, and her research partner had been hurt in an explosion. Maya blamed herself and couldn't bear to continue working where everything reminded her of her failure. Both of us, Maya said slowly through the computer, try to help life grow, but our people afraid. Kira reached across the small table and gently touched Maya's hand. The gesture needed no translation. Despite their different biology, different worlds, different languages, they understood each other in a way that went beyond words. Later that night, as Maya prepared for sleep, she realized something had changed. For the first time in months, She didn't feel alone with her guilt and regret. Kira carried similar burdens, but somehow sharing the weight made it easier to bear. Through her window, Maya could see Kira's damaged ship in the docking bay. Tomorrow, they would start trying to repair their vessels and restore the station's communications array. But tonight, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. Maybe being stranded here wasn't just bad luck. Maybe it was exactly what both of them needed. Two scientists from different worlds, both running from their past mistakes, finding each other in the vastness of space. Perhaps together they could accomplish what neither could achieve alone. Stars outside seemed a little less cold and distant than they had just a few days ago. 2 weeks had passed since Maya and Kira began working together on the abandoned station. Their days had fallen into a comfortable routine. Mornings spent repairing equipment, afternoons exploring new sections of the vast facility, and evenings sharing meals while their translator system helped them talk about everything from science to dreams. Today was different. Today they were going outside. Maya suited up in her emergency space gear while Kira prepared her own biosuit, a living membrane that seemed to grow around her body like a second skin. They needed to fix the station's solar collectors if they ever hoped to get the communications array working again. "Ready?" Maya asked, through their helmet communicators. The translation system now worked in real time, making their conversations flow naturally. "Ready," Kira replied, though Maya could hear nervousness in her voice. "Outside work is dangerous for my people. We prefer enclosed spaces." Maya checked her safety tether one more time. "We'll be careful, I promise." They stepped through the airlock together into the silent vacuum of space. The station's hull stretched out around them like a metal landscape, scarred by years of micrometeorite impacts and solar radiation. Above them, the stars blazed with a clarity that never ceased to amaze Maya. The damaged solar panel array was worse than they had thought. Entire sections were twisted and torn, while others hung by single cables, rotating slowly in the zero. Gravity. But Maya's engineering training and Kira's intuitive understanding of energy systems made them a perfect team for the repairs. "Hand me that connector," Maya said, pointing to a piece of equipment drifting nearby. Kira's longer arms easily reached it, passing the component to Maya with practiced ease. As they worked, they talked about their lives before the station. Maya shared stories of Earth's oceans and mountains, while Kira described her homeworld's floating cities and bioluminescent forests. Despite the vastness of space separating their origins, they found surprising similarities in their experiences. "My research caused problems too," Kira admitted as she helped Maya install a new power coupling. "I believed different species could work together, share knowledge. But my government said it was naive thinking. Dangerous thinking." Maya paused in her work. "What kind of research?" "I studied how life forms from different worlds could help each other survive. Symbiosis, but between species that never met naturally." Kira's voice carried old pain. "They said I was trying to contaminate our pure biology with alien influences." "That's not contamination," Maya said firmly. "That's cooperation. That's how life grows stronger." "You understand," Kira said softly. "Most of my people did not." They continued working in comfortable silence for a while, each lost in their own thoughts. Maya found herself thinking about her own research, studying extremophile organisms that could survive in impossible conditions. Life that thrived in boiling water, freezing cold, or intense radiation. Her work had always been about finding ways for life to persist against all odds. "Kira," Maya said suddenly, "what if we combined our research? Your symbiosis studies and my extremophile work?" Kira stopped what she was doing and turned to look at Maya through her helmet. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. You understand how different species can work together. I understand how life adapts to harsh environments. Together, we might discover how to help life not just survive, but flourish in places no one thought possible. Excitement crept into Kira's voice. Terraforming, making dead worlds alive again. Exactly, but not by forcing Earth-like conditions, everywhere. By creating new kinds of cooperative life that can thrive in any environment. They worked with renewed energy, their conversation flowing between technical details and wild possibilities. As they repaired the solar collectors, they began planning theoretical experiments that combined their knowledge in ways neither had considered before. But their excitement was interrupted when Maya's safety line suddenly snapped. A sharp piece of debris had cut through the cable, and Maya found herself drifting away from the station with nothing to grab onto. "Maya!" Kira's voice was sharp with fear. Maya tried to activate her emergency thrusters, but they were nearly empty. She was, floating slowly but steadily away from the station, with no way to stop herself. In a few minutes, she would be too far away for Kira to reach. Without hesitation, Kira unhooked her own safety line and pushed off from the station's hull. Her biosuit's living systems allowed her to move more efficiently in zero gravity than Maya's mechanical gear. She reached Maya just as the human woman was starting to panic. "Got you," Kira said, wrapping her longer arms around Maya and activating her suit's emergency propulsion system. They began moving back toward the station, but slowly, too slowly. "Your suit," Maya realized with horror. "You're using up your life support to save me." "We are partners," Kira said simply. "Partners do not leave each other behind." Maya felt something shift inside her chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with her suit's heating system. This alien woman, who had known her for only 2 weeks, was risking her life without hesitation. Maya had spent months running from the guilt of her research partner's injury, but here was Kira, showing her what true partnership really meant. They reached the station's hull with Kira's biosuit flashing warning colors, dangerously low on resources. Maya helped guide them to the nearest airlock, her hands shaking not from cold, but from the realization of how close she had come to losing this friendship. Back inside the station, they sat in the equipment bay for a long time, just breathing and being grateful to be alive. Kira's biosuit slowly regenerated itself while Maya checked and rechecked all their safety equipment. "Thank you," Maya said finally. "You saved my life." "You would have done the same for me," Kira replied. Maya realized she was right. Somewhere, over the past 2 weeks, this strange alien woman had become more than just a fellow survivor. She had become the most important person in Maya's universe. "The solar panels are working now," Kira observed, looking at the station's power readings. "Tomorrow we can start on the communications array," Maya agreed. But even as she said it, she felt a strange reluctance. Getting the communications working meant the possibility of rescue, and rescue meant they would be separated, returned to their respective worlds. For the first time since crash landing on the station, Maya wasn't sure she wanted to go home. That night, as she lay in her quarters looking out at the stars, Maya realized she had found something here that she had never expected. Not just friendship, but a sense of purpose she thought she had lost forever. Working with Kira felt right in a way that her previous research never had. Outside her window, the repaired solar panels glowed softly as they gathered starlight, powering the station's systems and bringing them one step closer to contact with the outside universe. But Maya found herself hoping that rescue would take a very long time to arrive. The communications array came to life with a soft hum that Maya had been both hoping for and dreading. After 3 weeks of repairs, she and Kira had finally restored the station's ability to contact the outside universe. But as the first signals began coming through, Maya's excitement quickly turned to fear. "Multiple ships approaching," Kira said, reading the incoming data streams. "Both human and Kepler vessels." Maya felt her heart sink. She had hoped they would have more time before being discovered. In the station's main laboratory, their research was just beginning to show promise. They had successfully combined samples from both their worlds, creating new life forms that could survive in environments that would kill either species alone. They're not rescue ships, Maya realized, reading the transmission codes. These are military vessels. The first message that came through made Maya's blood run cold. It was from Commander Jackson, her former supervisor at the Earth Research Division. His face appeared on the main screen, stern and unforgiving. Dr. Rodriguez, you are commanded to surrender yourself immediately. You are charged with theft of classified research materials and unauthorized contact with hostile alien forces. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. Maya stared at the screen in shock. Theft? Hostile forces? They think I stole something. Kira placed a comforting hand on Maya's shoulder. My people's message is similar, she said sadly. They call me a traitor who has compromised our biological security by working with an alien species. Over the next few hours, more messages arrived. Both governments demanded the immediate return of their citizens and the surrender of any research conducted on the station. Maya learned that her emergency departure from Earth had been interpreted as fleeing with stolen data. Her colleagues believed she had taken her failed experiments research and was planning to sell it to alien powers. This is insane, Maya said, pacing around the laboratory. I didn't take anything. I was running away from my research, not with it. Fear makes people see enemies everywhere, Kira replied wisely. My government thinks I am contaminating our pure biology with human influences. They cannot understand that cooperation makes both species stronger. Despite the pressure from both, their governments, Maya and Kira, continued working. Their breakthrough came on the fourth day after first contact. In a small cultivation chamber, they had created something unprecedented, a hybrid organism that combined human extremophile bacteria with Kira's symbiotic life forms. Look at this, Maya whispered in amazement. The organism was thriving in conditions that should have been impossible, extreme cold, high radiation, and toxic chemicals all at once. It's not just surviving, it's actually improving its environment. Kira's eyes shone with excitement. It is cleaning the toxic materials and converting them into nutrients for other life forms. This could heal damaged worlds. They worked feverishly to document their discovery, knowing that their time was running out. The approaching ships would arrive within days, and both women knew they would be separated and their research confiscated. That's when Captain Reynolds arrived. Maya knew Reynolds from her academy days. They had trained together, dated briefly, and remained friends even after Maya chose research over military service. When his ship docked with the station, Maya felt a brief moment of hope that reason might prevail. Maya, Reynolds said as he stepped into the station's central hub, flanked by two armed soldiers. Thank goodness you're safe. We've been worried, sick about you. Tom, Maya replied carefully. I'm fine. We both are. This is Kira. She's a scientist, too. Reynolds glanced at Kira with barely concealed suspicion. Dr. Rodriguez, I need you to gather your things immediately. We're taking you home. I can't leave yet, Maya said. Tom, you have to see what we've discovered. This research could change everything. We've found a way to heal dead planets, to create life that can survive anywhere. Maya, listen to yourself, Reynolds said, his voice taking on a patronizing tone. You've been isolated here for weeks with this creature. It's obviously influenced your thinking. Alien manipulation is a real phenomenon. Maya felt anger flash through her. Creature? Tom, Kira is a brilliant scientist. She's not manipulating anyone. Step away from it, Maya, Reynolds ordered, his hand moving to his weapon. That's a direct command. No, Maya said firmly. I won't leave Kira, and I won't abandon our research. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Kira stood silently beside Maya, but her biosuit was shifting colors. a sign of stress in her species. The two soldiers raised their weapons slightly, though they looked uncomfortable about the situation. "Maya, don't make this harder than it needs to be," Reynolds pleaded. "Come home. We can sort this out back on Earth." "What about the research?" Maya asked. "Will Earth's government allow us to continue this work?" Reynolds looked away. "The research will be evaluated by appropriate authorities." Maya knew what that meant. Their breakthrough would disappear into some classified vault, studied in secret by military scientists who would try to turn it into a weapon instead of a tool for healing. "I won't let that happen," Maya said quietly. Before Reynolds could react, Maya lunged toward the laboratory's control panel. She initiated an emergency lockdown, sealing the lab and protecting their research samples. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. "Maya, what are you doing?" Reynolds shouted over the noise. "Protecting something that could save millions of lives," Maya replied. "Tom, you have to understand, this isn't about Earth versus aliens. This is about life itself." Reynolds spoke into his communicator, calling for backup. Within minutes, more soldiers were cutting through the laboratory's sealed doors. Maya and Kira retreated to the inner lab, where their most important samples were kept. "They will take our work," Kira said sadly. "They will study it in fear instead of hope." Maya looked at her friend, her partner, and made a decision that would change everything. She moved to the station's main computer and began uploading all their research data to every scientific database she could access. If their governments wanted to suppress this discovery, they would have to suppress the entire galactic scientific community. "Maya, stop!" Reynolds commanded as he burst through the final door. "You're committing treason." "I'm committing truth," Maya replied, her fingers flying over the controls. "This research belongs to everyone, not just our governments." The upload completed just as Reynolds reached her, but it was too late. Their breakthrough was now public knowledge, transmitted to universities and research stations across dozens of worlds. Maya looked at Kira one last time, seeing her own determination reflected in the alien woman's large, dark eyes. Whatever happened next, they had changed the universe forever. "I'm sorry, Tom," Maya said as the soldiers surrounded them. "But some things are more important than following orders." Reynolds looked at her with a mixture of anger and sadness. "Maya, you have no idea what you've just done." Maya smiled sadly. "I've given Hope a chance to survive." The holding cell on Captain Reynolds' ship was small and cold, but Maya barely noticed. Through the tiny porthole, she could see the abandoned station where she had spent the most important month of her life. Somewhere on that station Kira was, probably in a similar cell on her people's ship, waiting to learn their fate. 3 days had passed since their capture, and Maya had heard nothing but the hum of the ship's engines. She spent her time thinking about their research, hoping that her desperate upload to the scientific databases had worked. If their discovery was going to help anyone, it needed to be studied by people who understood cooperation instead of conquest. The cell door opened with a soft hiss, and Captain Reynolds stepped inside. He looked tired, older than when Maya had seen him just days before. "Maya, we need to talk," he said, sitting down across from her. "Are you here to tell me about my trial?" Maya asked. "Or maybe to explain how our research is going to disappear into some military vault?" Reynolds shook his head. "Neither. Maya, do you have any idea what chaos you've created?" "Good chaos, I hope." "Your data upload worked," Reynolds admitted. "Within hours, research stations across human space were trying to replicate your experiments. But it gets more complicated. The alien governments are doing the same thing." Maya felt a spark of hope. And the results are remarkable. Reynolds pulled out a data tablet and showed Maya a series of reports. The University of New Geneva successfully created a hybrid organism that can clean toxic waste from water systems. The Mars Terraforming Project says your research could cut their timeline from centuries to decades. Maya's heart began to race. What about Kira's people? Their scientists are even more excited. Apparently, your combined research aligns perfectly with some theoretical work they've been doing for years. Reynolds paused. Maya, both governments are under enormous pressure from their scientific communities to continue this research. But they also can't be seen as weak or naive about alien contact. The military advisors on both sides are pushing for your arrest and the suppression of the research. Maya slumped in her chair. So we're back where we started. Fear winning over hope. Not exactly. Reynolds smiled for the first time since boarding the station. Maya, there's been an interesting development. Do you remember Dr. Chen from the Interplanetary Ethics Committee? Maya nodded. Dr. Chen had been one of her professors years ago, a brilliant woman who had always pushed for responsible scientific cooperation. She's been in emergency session with her alien counterpart, Dr. Vector, from the Kepler Ethics Council. They've proposed something unprecedented, a joint research facility officially sanctioned by both governments to continue your work under proper oversight. Maya's eyes widened. A joint facility? Humans and Keplerians working together officially? It would be the first of its kind. But Maya, there are conditions. Big ones. What kind of conditions? Reynolds looked uncomfortable. You and Kira would be the co-directors. You'd have to stay on the station permanently, at least for the first 5 years. No returning home, no family visits. You'd be completely isolated except for the research teams that would join you. Maya felt her heart sink. No going home meant never seeing Earth's blue skies again, never walking through a real forest or feeling rain on her face. It meant giving up everything she had known for a life of exile in the cold depths of space. But then she thought about Kira, probably facing the same choice on her ship. She thought about their breakthrough organism, thriving in impossible conditions and healing its environment. She thought about all the dead worlds that could bloom with life again. Where do I sign? Maya said without hesitation. Reynolds blinked in surprise. Maya, you need to think about this. Permanent exile is not something you decide in a moment. Tom, I've spent my whole career studying life that survives in impossible places. Maybe it's time I became one of those life forms. Maya stood up and moved to the porthole looking out at the station. That place isn't exile. It's home. 2 hours later, Maya stood in the station's docking bay once again. This time, ships from multiple worlds were docked in the various bays. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats moved between vessels, carrying equipment and data tablets, their voices mixing in a dozen different languages. Kira approached from across the bay, and Maya felt her heart lift. The alien woman looked tired, but determined, her biosuit shimmering with colors that Maya had learned meant happiness and excitement. You chose to stay, Kira said as they met in the center of the bay. Of course I did. We have work to finish. They walked together toward the central hub, which was already being converted into a proper research facility. Through the large windows, Maya could see construction robots installing new equipment and expanding the laboratory spaces. 5 years minimum, Maya said. Maybe longer. Maybe forever, Kira replied. I find I do not miss my homeworld as much as I expected. Maya laughed. I was thinking the same thing. Dr. Chen approached them, flanked by her Keplerian counterpart, Dr. Vector. Both looked pleased, but serious. Dr. Rodriguez, Dr. Kira Tell, Dr. Chen said formally. Welcome to Haven Station, the first official joint research facility in galactic history. Maya looked around at the bustling activity, at humans and Keplerians working side by side, at the equipment being unpacked for experiments that could change the fate of countless worlds. She thought about how she had arrived here as a failed scientist running from her mistakes, and how she was now at the center of the most important research project in galactic history. The first research teams arrive tomorrow, Dr. Vector explained. 12 species have requested participation in the initial studies. 12 species? Maya asked in amazement. Your research upload reached farther than you imagined, Dr. Chen said with a smile. The entire galactic scientific community is excited about symbiotic life research. That evening, Maya and Kira stood together in the observation deck, watching the stars through the reinforced windows. The deck had been one of their favorite places during their weeks of isolation, but now it felt different. It was no longer a prison looking out at the void, but a home looking out at infinite possibilities. Regrets? Kira asked. Maya thought about Earth, about the life she was giving up, about the family and friends she might never see again. Then she looked at Kira, at the station bustling with activity around them, at the stars that no longer seemed cold and distant. None, Maya said honestly. What about you? My only regret is that we did not meet sooner. Maya smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the station's heating systems. We met exactly when we were supposed to. A soft chime indicated that a new ship was requesting docking permission. Through the window, Maya could see a vessel unlike any she had seen before, sleek and organic-looking, clearly from one of the species she had never encountered. The universe is bigger than we imagined, Kira observed. And we're going to help make it better, Maya replied. As they watched the alien ship dock with their station, Maya realized that her story was just beginning. She had come here as a refugee from her past, but she was staying as an architect of the future. Together with Kira and scientists from across the galaxy, they would prove that cooperation was stronger than fear, that life could thrive anywhere, and that the universe was wide enough for everyone to call it home. The stars outside seemed to twinkle with approval, as if the cosmos itself was smiling down on their small station where beings from different worlds had chosen to build something beautiful together.